their team. Of course, fans were greeted by the Chain Warden himself today. Thresh, a real marvel of cosplay, will be coming up. It's an engineering feat, to say the least. There he is. I don't know how tall that thing is, but he terrifies me. And of course, two-time World Championship winner Faker here, walking through the halls of the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium. He'll be facing former teammate Impact and the rest of Cloud9, who we caught on camera passing by on their way to get ready for battle. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson, joined today by Clement Chu, Indiana Frosker in black, and Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler for the second day of competition here in San Francisco. And after yesterday's abysmal showing in predictions by the analysts, I felt it only right to swap them out, get 3 brand new ones. Are you guys ready to get some things right today?
Yeah, I'm super happy to be here. I'm ready to represent for my region. Everybody's been underestimating our teams. I'm here to prove them wrong.
All right, what about over here? LPL did have a slightly rough start to the tournament with the #1 seed suffering a loss, but here we are back in day 2, still plenty of games. Let's go. How are we feeling, Frosker?
Just twist that knife a little bit deeper. No, yeah, it was a bit rough yesterday, but we can only go up from here.
All right, and Kobe?
I mean, we've got 2 North American teams today, right?
That's right. All right, 1-1 for the North American squads. Now, with this month-long international clash heating up, we've got our partners from around the globe covering the action here on the ground. You're taking a look at our counterparts from Brazil's CB LoL. Also, following the action, are casters from the CIS regions, LCL. The Chinese LPL is here as well to bring the hype. And we're broadcasting in over 15 languages worldwide, so everyone's going to have an opportunity to see the action that's taking place on stage. Now, before we dive into the global competition, a reminder that the newest addition to the champion skin set line, Zed, is now live in client. 25% of all championship Zed and 30% of all championship Ward skin sales will go directly to the world's prize pool, so you can help raise the stakes in the fight for the Summoners Cup. And we've got our first glimpse of groups A, C, and D yesterday, including the likes of the #1 seeds from North America, Korea's LCK, and China's LPL. So my question to you 3, what stood out to you in our 6 matches that took place just yesterday?
I think it's maybe INTZ taking down EDG, China's #1 seed falling.
Yeah, it was a really rough day yesterday, but that said, Revolta and Yang deserve to hold their heads high after such an incredible performance like that. I believe Yang did 34.2% of his team's damage, just a disgusting number, especially on that Gnar, when Rumble has been running crazy in that top lane.
Honestly, the plays from Revolta were amazing from this Lee Sin. It was actually incredible. He had 26% jungle proximity. That's the time he spent with his top laner. With Yang, it was basically those two taking over the entire game, play after play.
Now, that said, there are some bright spots, though, for EDG. Pawn had a great performance, showcasing his talent and showing up in that game 1.
All right, well, with EDG's loss, it was a pretty big blow to Chinese fans. European fans, though, didn't really have it any easier with an 0-3 start to their tournament.
It definitely was kind of surprising as well for all of Europe. In that G2 and H2K both lost in fairly similar ways in the mid and late game. Really lacking in the macro and not paying attention to a lot of the vision games and really the mid-game rotations.
That's exactly what I want to underline, is that it's so atypical of the European teams, of all of them, to go down. Usually their decision-making is so strong, and so I just want to set that massive upset, because normally European teams don't lose like that. There's a lot to criticize there, but not on their decision-making.
Yeah, I actually think for me, the European teams look very incohesive. They have such good individual players. You look at G2, 3 players on the top 20 list, and you look at H2K, 1 every lane, but they just fell apart macro in the mid game, and I think they really need to work on communication as a region.
Now let's touch on something real briefly. Here's some news regarding Aurelion Sol. He will remain disabled for days 2 and 3 of Worlds. But on the topic of picks bans, we're already seeing some clear priorities develop in day 1 of the tournament.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are not sure what the meta compositions are really like, so they're going for the strong lane picks that have no counter. You saw 4 games of Rumble blind picked 3 times, 5 games of Nami also blind picked a lot. These are champions that don't have counters in lane and just are overall good.
And in kind of the ecosystem of Rumble taking over the top lane, a lot of his matchups did get weakened or toned down a little bit, which is why he's starting to really shine up there in the top lane, is how it affects the jungle pool. Now, we've seen a ton of Elise blind pick, but I actually want to kind of gear towards the Olaf, because I think we've yet to really see his full power uncovered, simply because he brings physical damage when you have those 2 flanking AP pieces. So I think he opens up a lot more Rumble to shine by bringing that hardcore damage in the jungle.
Yeah, the North American Olaf has been huge. The other thing is that this is only day 1, right? We've only just begun to dip into the world's meta, and Jace has still really to shine because he did get picked twice. G2 were one to lose with him, but that AD from the top side also could be balanced out, right? There's plenty of good mixes that we can still come upon.
Yeah, and I want to talk about a couple champions that haven't been picked yet. Nidalee, 100% ban rate. Nobody wants him. There's a lot of teams that will first pick the Nidalee, Flash Wolves, Samsung. They all have Karsa and ambition to do that. So I think this Nid pick is still going to show up somewhere, and we're going to see some big results.
It's just really showing that priority of having pressure in your jungle, doing things quickly. It's not just about being a farming jungler. It's about moving quickly through that and getting to those lanes to help them out.
Well, only 6 games have been played, still a lot to be determined. And with the dust settled on day 1, we do have 2 teams in groups A, C, and D with 1-game leads. Now, CLG and Rocks are tied for first in Group A. Yesterday's winners in Group C were AHQ and Brazil's INTZ. In Group D, Samsung Galaxy and RNG share the top spot. Now, those teams still have many games in front of them, but before they get back on the stage, we'll see our first look of Group B as the reigning world champions SK Telecom T1 face off against North America's Cloud9. Then the LMS's #1 seeded Flash Wolves will take on the LPL's IMA. After that, it's Groups D and C back center stage. So looking at these first 2 matchups in particular, our first look at that Group B, what are our thoughts here?
Top die.
One can only hope, Kobe. One can only
That's the
hope.
question on everyone's mind, right? We finally get to see, the first showing here for SKT back at Worlds, and then Cloud9, who have been really hyped up because they had a strong run at the end of the North American LCS playoffs, where they were able to take TSM, further than a lot of other teams that were able to push them. And then, Impact just individually playing so well recently. There are a lot of hopes for him.
On the other side of that, though, IMA versus Flash Wolves finally getting to see the last Chinese Siege show their face, hopefully a bit better than their previous counterparts, although RNG still doing pretty well.
Clement not hoping for that.
Yeah. I think Flash Wolves are coming in as the favorites here in the second matchup of the day. I really think that you're going to show Maple really step up like he did in MSI, and you're going to have another mid laner to cheer for.
All right, well, now remember, all throughout Worlds, we're offering a second stream with a rotating focus of specific matchups, players, and themes. Click on over to Riot Games 2, where today our casters are joined by special guests Alex Each and Gate. Right off the top, it's Pyra, LS, and Alex Each together, joined to analyze the clash between Faker and Jensen in Game 1. But it's that time for us here to catch up with the casters. And before we do so, I've got to put you guys on the spot, ask you for this prediction. Our 2-time world champions, SK Telecom versus NA's Cloud9. Down the line, starting with you, Clement. What's your pick?
I think I have to go with SKT. I know this is not a crowd favorite, but if you look at how you beat SKT, you have to beat them really hard early game. C9 only a 37% first blood rate through the regular split. I don't think they're fast enough to do it.
All right, Frostgrun, what are your thoughts on this one?
Analytically, there's no way I can support this. I mean, you've got SKT.
I love when a sentence starts that.
I know, there's
All
no
right,
way.
let's go.
You've got an SK2 who have proven that with a rotating roster of talent that they can execute on it. They did that with EasyHoon. They slumped at MSI. You give them enough preparation, they turn around, they're super dominant. You invite them to Worlds, they tend to win. But I saw a miracle happen yesterday with INTZ versus EDG, and I think a miracle is going to happen today. I'm going Cloud9.
Woo! There it is. There it is. All right, then that makes Kobe the tiebreak here on the desk. So what's it going to be?
I mean, you mentioned the rotating roster as a positive, but actually right now I think the rotating through the jungle is a sign of weakness. They wanted to use Blank, and they weren't able to make things work with him. Bengi back on stage, it's cool to have, another world champion up there, but I think that's some more problems for SKT, and they are typically slow starters if we look at MSI just previously. So obviously I'm going to go with the Northern California team, basically from San Jose, Cloud9 here. Cloud9.
All right, so we've got 2 votes for C9 here, 1 for SKT, although it sounds like it is going to be a close matchup, at least in our minds. So as we head to the casters for Game 1, it's important to remember that at the heart of this matchup is the reunion of former teammates facing off on stage for the very first time.
임팩트 선수랑은 이제 처음 프로 데뷔할 때 같이 있었던 팀이었기 때문에 뭐 약간 그 처음 동료이자 뭐 친한 동생 그 정도 사이입니다. 뭐 세계대회 우승이라는 처음 나가서 그런 우승을 했으니까 그때는 정말 서로 좋아했고
이긴 순간이 엄청 기뻤고 일단 제가 가장 잘했다는 걸 보여줬으니까 그 포지션에서 시간만 나누고 그냥 딱 서로 허그하거나 그러고 있을 때가 시간이 많이 났죠. 우승컵 가까이 가 있을 때가 엄청났고
저희가 13년도랑 14년도 하고 원영이랑은 같이 게임을 안 했고 또 경기에서도 만난 적이 없어서
제가 SK 있을 때 실패를 했단 말이에요. 저희가 다 좌절을 겪고 그러다가 또 TIP 때 겪으니까 이제 저는 저야 월드 챔피언십에 못 가나 영원히 이 생각도 했었는데 네, 이번에 간 게 정말 좋은 것 같아요. 그냥 이상혁이랑 변기 형 다시 만나긴 한 건데 상대로 만난 거라 좀 더 신기하고
그 옛날에 같은 팀이었던 팀원이 롤드컵에서 만난다는 건 좀 재밌는 경험인 것 같아요. 좀 반갑기도 하고 플레이오프 하는 걸 봤는데 잘하고 충분히 잘했기 때문에 와서 좀 기대돼요.
Even the phase dive would get you over. Hold on. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, he's going for another solo. There's the Mega Tower ultimate and impact. Just does it again.
Top is fighting. He died. He died 100%. He died. He can't take it.
같은 팀이었으니까 좀 많이 혼내줘야 될 것 같아요. 제가 러빙 같습니다.
예전에 팀 멤버를 만난다는 게 처음에는 좀 신기하고 또 기대되긴 했는데 막상 다시 붙어보려니까 뭔가 무섭기도 하고 또 최근에 임팩트가 너무 잘한다고 들어서 만나서 저희가 임팩트한테 지면은 약간 좀 무서울 것 같아요.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Devin Pyrotechnics.